The day I pulled it from the earth, I did not know that a skeleton carries not just bones, but millennia of seething darkness trapped and waiting. The moment my fingers brushed against that soil-caked, twisted skull, my life became a living coffin. Every corner of my room seemed to watch me, every shadow distorted by its ghastly stare. My breaths now mingle with its endless wailing, a sound that is not human, a primal cry from eye sockets that weep blood after centuries. If you value your sanity, stop reading here. Some stories are meant to remain buried. I was obsessed with forgotten histories, drawn to the places humanity tried to erase. That obsession led me to an abandoned graveyard at the edge of civilization. Overgrown weeds clawed at broken bricks, and the locals whispered that the dead buried there had never known peace. Their sins were so profound that even the soil refused to embrace them. It was a moonless night. I parked my car near the cemetery, its headlights cutting through the fog. Shovel in hand, I stepped into a nightmare I could never escape. An instinct, dark and unreasoned, pulled me toward the oldest plot beneath a gnarled tamarind tree, its roots tangled like grasping fingers. The mound of black earth there was unmarked, ominous, and calling me. The first strike of the shovel was answered by the smell of decayed blood and earth, and a faint, almost imperceptible scream rose from the ground. My hands shook, yet I could not stop. Something ancient was waiting, something that would not forgive me for awakening it. The soil finally gave way beneath my trembling hands. There it lay, a human skull, unnaturally preserved, yet grotesquely deformed. Its left side seemed shattered, as if struck by some cruel blade, but the true horror was in its empty eye sockets. They seemed alive, burning with a stare that pierced my soul, even as the clotted black earth clung to its face like coagulated blood. The air turned icy, each breath slicing through me like a knife. Every tree, every silent gravestone seemed to lean closer, observing my trespass. When I lifted it with the pickaxe, a chilling current shot through my veins. It wasn't just a skull. I had awakened a force, a vengeance buried for generations. I wrapped it in an old, tattered cloth and fled the graveyard, but the shadows in the fog followed me. They weren't human, but twisted forms with grotesque limbs, slipping through the darkness, always just beyond the car's headlights. That night, the skull rested on my study table. Even in my warm room, a frigid aura radiated from it. Its hollow sockets oozed a dark liquid, black as tar, and the faintest whisper of a tortured voice slid into my mind. I could feel the memories of its suffering pouring into me. Pain, rage, and sorrow so ancient it burned my brain. Sleep fled me. I was no longer alone in my body. Something, or someone, had begun to inhabit it. The following nights were unbearable. Every corner of my house seemed to breathe with the skull's presence. Windows rattled despite still air. The faint, putrid scent of decayed flesh seeped into my nostrils. Even in the light, I felt its gaze drilling into my skull, a stare that made my blood run cold. At 3 a.m, a new horror began. The skull's eye sockets, once empty, now wept a thick, black, blood-like substance. Each drop hissed as it touched the wooden table. I dared not touch it, yet my mind was compelled to watch, to listen to the whispers threading inside my thoughts, screams and pleas, words I could not speak, but understood too well. Through the skull I saw flashes of its past life. A young servant girl, tortured by a cruel zamindar, her screams swallowed by the earth. Each strike of the shovel that killed her sent a jolt of pain into my own forehead, as if I were reliving her suffering. My nights were endless terrors. Sleep became a stranger. My reflection showed a hollow, twisted face, dark circles framing eyes that no longer held humanity. The skull was feeding on my fear, growing stronger, embedding itself deeper into my mind, and I realized the haunting had only just begun. The days blurred into nights, each one heavier than the last. The skull's blackened surface began to change. Flesh-like layers formed over the jaw, and the hollow sockets clouded into milky, unseeing eyes. At night, I could feel it staring at me, not from the table, but from every shadow in the room. Its presence pressed on my chest, making each breath a struggle. The whispering grew into screams inside my skull. No sound escaped my lips, yet every nerve in my body vibrated with agony. Through its eyes, I witnessed its murder again, the young girl tied, beaten, and abandoned to the soil's embrace. I felt every strike, every terror-filled gasp, as if my own life was being rewritten in her pain. One night, I saw the flesh on the skull's face, clear, pale, and decayed. Its teeth, yellow and grotesquely long, parted slightly in a silent scream. Cold wind surged through my room, carrying the stench of rot. Then came the voice, sharper than any blade. "I will take your life. You disturbed my peace, and I will not forgive you." My body grew numb. Limbs refused to move. I could no longer distinguish where my fear ended and the skull's vengeance began. It was no longer just a curse. I was its prisoner, and every moment was another step into madness. I knew I could not wait. Either I would die tonight, or I had to end this nightmare. Trembling, I grasped the skull. Pain shot through my hands, burning, icy, as if molten iron ran through my veins. Its gaze drilled into me, begging, screaming, pulling me toward the graveyard. I ran through the fog, each step numb, each breath a struggle. Dawn's first pale light barely reached the twisted trees of the old graveyard. I dug with frantic desperation beneath the tamarind tree, every handful of earth an act of defiance. The skull thrashed in my hands, and its face contorted in agony. Then, from its eye sockets, a stream of red poured like rivers of molten hate. A shriek tore inside my mind, louder than any human cry. My arms shook violently. Finally, with a scream that was half my own, I hurled it into the pit. Foul smoke hissed upward, a stench that burned my lungs. I covered it with soil as fast as I could. Slowly, the chill left my body. I gasped, feeling alive again, or at least, I thought I did. But deep down, I knew it had left a part of itself in me. Even now, days later, my room is quiet, my reflection calm. Yet at night, I hear it, weeping, laughter, whispers. The skull never truly left. It waits, patient, eternal, a darkness inside me. And now, so do you.